Not guilty. That was the verdict Monday in the trial of Mark Houck, the Pennsylvania pro-life advocate arrested for defending his son in an altercation outside of an abortion facility in Pennsylvania. Houck was arrested last fall in an early morning raid, a politicized raid, I would say, by the FBI nearly a year after the alleged altercation that had twice been thrown out of municipal court. Now, if convicted, Houck faced more than a decade in prison. So Monday's verdict is not only an answer to prayer for so many people, but a rebuke of the weaponized Department of Justice targeting political opponents. Well, joining me now to discuss this by phone is Mark Houck. He's the co-founder and president of the King's Men. Mark, welcome to Washington Watch.
Well, greetings, Tony. Thanks for having me.
Well, congratulations. I know you were relieved by the verdict, probably not necessarily surprised because you had been acquitted before. But tell us, how are you feeling now that the jury has found you not guilty on these trumped-up charges by the Biden administration?
Well, all glory be to God. It's a great feeling. When I came out of the federal courthouse, I described it in the only way I knew how, which was to say I felt like George Bailey from It's a Wonderful Life. So relieved, just filled with hope. And this whole journey, Tony, has really been quite a blessing for me in my journey as a Catholic Christian man.
So let me just step back for just a moment. We've talked about this on our program, but I want you just to very quickly tell our viewers and our listeners what occurred, what you were charged with and why, and how it unfolded.
Sure. So back on October 13th, 2021, there were two altercations, I should say, that happened in front of Planned Parenthood in Center City, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And it's a location I've been going to for 20 years to pray peacefully and to do sidewalk counseling. On that day, after that altercation where a volunteer escort for Planned Parenthood was harassing my son repeatedly, there was a push, a fatherly push that had to take place in order to defend and protect my son. Well, the local authorities wanted nothing to do with it. The DA from Philadelphia was not interested in prosecuting. There was a private criminal complaint that was dismissed, as you alluded to. On April 22nd, it was dismissed, 2022. On April 27th, I was served a target letter saying I was a target of a grand jury investigation and that I might be indicted. On September 23rd, to expedite the journey, I was raided in my home early morning hours, Friday morning at 6:45 by about 20-plus federal agents and Pennsylvania state troopers.
As you saw their case unravel in court because it was so weak and the jury saw right through it, is this little more than an effort to intimidate pro-lifers and get revenge for the court overturning Roe?
I can tell you what my personal experience is that we heard nothing from the Assistant U.S. Attorney, the Department of Justice in Philadelphia, from May till September. My former federal prosecutor, Matt Heffron from the Thomas More Society, reached out repeatedly with no response. And so what happened on the day of the raid is M16 guns, full SWAT gear, ballistic shields, ballistic helmets, battering ram were on my doorstep, and the guns were pointed at me, my wife, and my children.
They've denied that. They've said did not happen. How do they do that?
Nothing could be further from the truth. Good.
How do they get away with that? I mean, I know your wife said those statements and how it terrorized your children, and they say, "Oh no, we didn't do that. That wasn't a SWAT team. It wasn't anything. It was just a regular arrest."
Yeah, well, nothing could be further from the truth, and there's 9 eyewitnesses to the fact. But that SWAT stands for Special Weapons and Tactics, and they had everything there. So whether they want to deny that it was SWAT personnel, it's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
Regardless of that, their efforts were to humiliate, intimidate, and instill fear. And in fact, it was an act of terror upon my family. I was shackled in my waist, shackled in my feet, and cuffed to a table at the federal building for over 6 hours.
I agree with you, Mark. I do. We're up against a break, but I want to very quickly ask you this question. How do you think the pro-life movement should respond to this type of stuff?
Well, I think the pro-life movement should be emboldened as a result of this victory with Judge Gerald Papert and the jury, all thanks to them for vindicating and basically saying that there was no evidence here, and that this law, this statute, Judge Papert said, is being spread way too thin, and the civil affairs for the DOJ need to go back to Washington and fix this. So I think pro-lifers should be emboldened to get out there and continue to do what they do, as will I.
And two other things they should do: continue to show courage and compassion, two things that you have done. And Mark, we commend you. And again, congratulations. To God be the glory. But thank you for being willing to stand and help compassionately those who are making that life and death decision. We appreciate it.